been a week plus since the Halo Infinite gameplay trailer was released, and by now, you've probably heard it all. The graphics suck. No, it's the lighting. It's an old bill. Why show it as a trailer? Watch the Digital Foundry video. The video is bullshit. I'm gonna be honest. I'm extremely disappointed and concerned after watching the Halo Infinite gameplay trailer, but it's for none of the reasons that I just mentioned. Why are people so disappointed with the Halo Infinite trailer? In my opinion, it's not because of the graphics or the gameplay, although there's a lot to be said about both for sure. The reason so many people feel like the trailer was off, quote unquote, or didn't feel right and couldn't quite put their fingers on it was because of the art direction and the art style and the writing of the dialogue we got in the trailer. Before you get your pitchforks and torches and everything else, please just hear me out. I have an open mind, and I welcome any discourse and conversation in the comments below. The issues I'm going to talk about, irrefutably they exist and will continue to exist, even in the face of graphical improvements. No amount of lighting or graphical fidelity is going to make these go away. They are integral to the game at a conceptual level, and that is why they are so concerning and disturbing. First things first. Please, if you haven't already, right after or right before watching the Halo Infinite gameplay trailer, please watch the Infinite announcement trailer. That trailer communicated to us, the fans, of a return to the classic aesthetic of the first three games. Even 343/Microsoft, responding to the recent criticism of the gameplay trailer, claimed that some of the controversy stemmed from their appeal to the classic aesthetic. So then why, in God's name, did everything in the trailer look like a goddamn cartoon? Now don't get it twisted, it doesn't look like a cartoon because of the graphics or the lighting like Digital Foundry and Halo Follower might be inclined to suggest and even believe. It looks like a cartoon because that was the bloody art style and the art direction they were going for in the first place. Don't believe me? Why would they do that? Let's have a look. Here are, in my opinion, the most blatant examples. Let's start with this motherfucker. Alright, so I saw that on the Halo Reddit that blind supporters of Halo Infinite seem to think that what critics find so offensive about this gun is that it replaces the original Magnum. While that's sort of almost true, it's really not the issue. The issue is that this looks like it doesn't even belong in Halo. So first, let's look at this. As you can see, it's a pistol from Fortnite. Now, look at this. It's the quote-unquote classic from Valorant. Now, let's look back at our quarry. And finally, let's look at the Halo 2 pistol because some idiots think that it's based off of that. While the back of the slide is kind of maybe similar, if you really stretch it in your mind to be that way, it's by far closer to the other two cartoon guns. And that's the problem. It's a fucking cartoon gun in Halo. Now, don't get me wrong, I love cartoons and frankly all animation. I'm a big fan of anime and I grew up on cartoons and I still watch them to this day. I just don't want a cartoon-themed Halo as a mainline game. I would happily entertain a spin-off or an in-between games type game, like how Halo 3 ODST was an in-between games type of game. But the real issue is that it's another 343 bait and switch. Just like Hunt the Truth, I mean Hunt the Bullshit, they got us to expect one thing, in this case classic Halo vibes and aesthetic, and they gave us a cartoon Fortnite Valorant bullshit instead. That's why it hits so hard and seems so blatantly unsettling. Just look at the fusion coil in the Halo Infinite trailer, and then look at this weapon charm from Valorant. It's like literally the same thing, just in green instead of blue. I mean, and everybody can agree Valorant is like a cartoony game, and you see the same exact aesthetic in Halo Infinite. So I don't know how there's people who think that changing the graphics is going to fix it being cartoony. No, it's not. It's literally inherent to the design, and this is obvious proof. Still don't believe me? Let's move on to perhaps the most blatant example, the Phantom. Credit goes to Reddit user Sarah Doman Sword for where I found this side-by-side. Nice RuneScape reference, by the way, Mr. Sword. I should also note that his post was removed from the r/Halo Reddit by the moderators. I have no idea why. If anyone knows, please leave that in the comments below. I want to know why that post got taken down. Anyway, you can see clearly here, one of these looks like an attempt at a realistic depiction of an alien vehicle, and the other looks like a fucking toy. Still not getting the trend? Let's finally look at the brutes. My issue is that they were made to appear cartoonish. For God's sake, this guy has literal Lego studs. Lego studs, for God's sake, on his arms, and snap-on plastic to cover his face. It's almost like they designed the models after the Mega Bloks people did. And I would be remiss to mention an extremely overlooked point, the fact that all the explosions in the game look like literally paint bombs. You don't believe me? Look at them again in real time, and then in slow-mo. You can really see the paint. The YouTube channel Virtual Flood has an amazing video on this subject, so please go check that out. I'll try to link it below. So some apologists who are clinging for any excuse might be inclined to say, well, it looks this way because Halo Wars 2 looks this way. Oh, really? Did the aesthetical cinematic inspiration for Halo Wars 2 really look like this? I don't know who made this side by side, but it just, it serves a point. The bottom is Atriox from Halo Wars 2, and the top is the Thanos orc from the freaking gameplay trailer. The reason the gameplay of Halo Wars 2 was cartoony was because it's an RTS. It also wasn't a mainline installment of the franchise, and nor is it meant to be a baseline for the next 10 years of game development in the Halo series. Literally the future of the series. So, yeah, not the same thing. All right, now finally, the final point for the brutes. This is a headshot of the brute from Halo 3 ODST live action trailer, We Are ODST. Now you might be thinking, it's unfair to compare a live action trailer to gameplay, but that's not the point here. This live action trailer shows the inspiration for what a brute is supposed to look like and what it's supposed to be. Not some cartoon Craig, but a warlike beast. And I couldn't come up for, what else to say here, but a picture's worth 1,000 words. I mean, what does this brute say to you about what a brute is? After looking at the fucking Lego thing a moment before. It's real. It's gritty. It's plausible. And it's terrifying because it's more realistic. And for the apologists, this mech brute used in the live-action trailer was actually built from 3D scans of the real in-game brute in Halo 3 ODST. So finally, let's round out this discussion with some concept art. What does Halo 3 ODST and Halo Reach concept art say to you? To me, it shows the realities of the military. It gives you a gritty and realistic feeling of what boots on the ground actually looks like. In these concept arts, you can see realities like civilians, intertwined, and communication between military personnel. And that's what gives Halo that authentic sci-fi military tone. And speaking of tone, the concept art from these older games, what do they convey? They convey fear, tension, uncertainty, and urgency. Now, does it look like it was inspired by, does Halo Infinite look like it was inspired by any of the things we just talked about? Or any of this concept art we just looked at? So, as you can see, there's, no amount of lighting or graphical fidelity or a few tidbits like classic grunts and elites can ever fix what is inherently the theme or their art style and direction of Halo Infinite. And that's something akin to a cartoon. So why the hell are they doing this? It's not what, the classic fans want. Well, the answer is simple. They want a piece of the pie. They want to break into the market share of games like Fortnite and Valorant. They want to market this game to kids, where they can profit off both toys and microtransactions. The art style and direction of what we saw in the gameplay trailer screams this at the top of its lungs, and it's so blatantly obvious. I don't know how more people are not talking about this. I think I've seen maybe one video where somebody, talks about this. It's not the fucking lighting or fidelity. Once that gets fixed, people are thinking like, oh, all the people who have a problem with the art style, it's going to go away. No, it's not. These characters literally have fucking Lego fucking studs in their arms, for God's sake. It's so obvious, and no lighting or fidelity is going to change that. God, I can't believe I almost forgot to mention this. I'm here in the editing now. And there's really no excuse. It's really undeniable and undefensible that it's not this attempt to market to kids and to sell this game to kids, because there's literally hexagons on your fucking screen when your shields are recharging. Why would they have put that in if it's just, graphics or whatever? Why are there freaking French fry cut spires, like Fortnite Minecraft spires coming out of the walls? Like, that's not in the announcement trailer when, like, all the classic fans are like, oh shit, this actually looks really good. No. That's all gone now. And now we have this. So, I mean, even if they improve the graphics, why the fuck were there hexagons ever on my screen while my shields were recharging? That's, in my opinion, concrete proof. Seriously. I mean, what excuse could the apologists possibly come up for that? Now, now that the kids are the market audience, what's going to be more appealing? A realistic and mature narrative about a genocidal and fanatical religious society of aliens unknowingly striving for the destruction of the universe, and a parasitic life form intent on stopping said society, but only to consume all life, and, humans somewhere in the middle of that? Or some Marvel-esque Thanos villain that kids are already familiar with and will find easy to understand. Enter the cringe dialogue lines we heard in the gameplay trailer. Would you, a mere pilot of a Pelican, attempt to argue with literally the most elite killing machine in the UNSC? Would you, in your right mind, attempt to argue that personal survival is more important than the potential detonation of what can be analogized crudely as a galactic nuke? No, I mean, even if you were scared, even if you were scared shitless, you would shit your pants, but you would still do whatever the scary frickin' special forces guy tells you to do. As for Thanos Jr., you're here for one last hurrah, one last fight, whatever, cringe. Great. How interesting, you know? Well, Spartan, and like, you know, the nostalgic music playing over it just adds to the cringe because, you know, those music and those emotions relate to really complex and important themes, in my opinion. Even simple themes like, you know, heroism and duty and honor and sacrifice and, you know, courage in the face of all odds. Not some weird fucking, you know, Thanos orc from space that doesn't even look like a fucking orc. I mean, the brute to begin with. He does look like an orc. That's the problem. And it doesn't look like anything from the old concept art. Does not look like Atriox. Does not even look like the Halo 3 ODST brute. But anyway, that about sums up my thoughts. I'm sure I forgot, you know, a ton of stuff. This was really bothering me, which is why I made the video. I really wanted to speak my mind about this. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. So, you know, please comment below. Thank you.